You're listening to Kaio Conversations, a podcast about anything and everything that matters to Chi Omegas.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Kaio Conversations, the podcast that keeps you connected to our sisterhood by highlighting the stories of both Chi Omegas and non-Chi Omegas. I'm your host, Leslie Harrington, CEO for Chi Omega. And today we are joined by one of our collegiate sisters, Amrit Kaur, who takes work earnestly to a whole new level. She is the current chapter president for both Chi Delta chapter of Chi Omega and the Student Body Association at Millsaps College, and previously served as her chapter's member educator and campus activities director. Amrit is a senior pursuing a degree in economics and is impressively maintaining a 4.0 GPA. Alongside her studies, she works as a realtor at Keller Williams, where she conducts home tours, she negotiates contracts, and utilizes social media marketing to engage clients. On top of that, since 2016, she has been a Bhangra dance coach, choreographing for numerous events in her community. Amrit is the definition of determination, and I cannot wait for her to share her story about being a first-generation college student who is serving others and is on fire for Chi Omega. Welcome, Amrit.
Oh, thank you guys so much for having me. This is a huge honor, and I love Chi so much, and I love inspiring my sisters, so this is so exciting for me.
Well, the pleasure is all ours, I insist. I remember being in college. It was a long time ago, but I know I felt incredibly busy. What inspired you to obtain your realtor's license while being a full-time student?
I think there's a few things that really inspired me, but the first thing was that there's like a good amount like of a Punjabi community in Mississippi, and I really just wanted to give back to them because I'm really involved with my temple and really involved with family members here, and I just wanted to give back in that way. And also I love getting real life experience because I feel like a big part of college is like, you know, preparing for the real world, and I feel like getting my real estate license has really prepped me for that part, and like just being able to give back to my community, just like best of both worlds.
Yes, tell us a little bit about the Punjabi community, a little bit more about your work, and what has that meant to you personally?
It's honestly meant a lot to me over the years because a big part, so my religion is Sikhism, and a big part of our religion is serving others and sharing with others. And so one of our three pillars is Vand Shakna, which means sharing others with others. And that has always just been really, really important to me. And I just remember actually one of my sisters coming up to me one day, we were just randomly hanging out, and she was like, Amrit, I looked up your religion, and now it just makes sense on why you are the person that you are. And that was my sophomore year, and I still remember that. And it just means so much to me because I didn't even realize that really is why I am the person that I am. And so I just love being able to help people and then share my talents or anything that I have to be able to help people out. So it just means a lot that I get to do that at Millsaps, but also in the community.
Well, it sounds like your religion has allowed you to be very values-based, just like in Chi Omega, we are values-based. So that all kind of connects. And yeah. I'm so glad your sisters appreciate you and your culture and your religion. Now, you shared with us that you got your real estate license so that you could help people in the Punjabi community learn about the house buying process, which is hard enough as it is, even being from this culture. So why did you find that so important?
So my parents moved here from India, and they didn't know English very well at all, actually. And they just had to figure it out on their own, you know, like that they went through ups and downs, and I'm just seeing them. It's honestly just been really inspiring too. And I know, and I hear their stories, and I know how much they struggled when they first moved here. So I really when I see people that, you know, just move here from India, I'm like, I want to help you guys. I want to make this process easier for you guys. And I just can't even imagine how hard it is. I was like, if I ever went to another country and didn't know the language, I wouldn't even know what to do. And my parents make it look so easy. And I'm like, if I can help in any way to make that moving process and house process, I don't know, I guess starting a new life process easier, I want to help. This summer, actually, I had a family, they moved from India, and I was able to help them buy a house, but then I also helped their daughter get into kindergarten and stuff. Like I went to school with them to get their registration done, and like that was not part of the plan, but like I was more than happy to do it because I don't know, it makes me happy. If I can help, I want to be there.
Well, I think there's nothing more intimidating than not knowing the language. I have done some traveling lately, and Americans speak English and pretty much only English, and it is so difficult to do the simplest tasks like find your gate at the airport. So I can't imagine how to enroll my child in school or how to buy a house, which again, it's not easy for those of us that speak the language and are familiar with the culture and the context. So I love that you're extending your hand to make that easier for everyone, really.
Of course. And I've never even bought a house before, so sometimes I'm like, what am I doing here? But I'm like, hey, we're going to figure this out together and we're going to get it done. So
that helps you know the questions that are probably on their mind because you're not an expert either, but you know how to figure things out. And that's so, so valuable.
Yes.
That's really extremely impressive. And this kind of brings us to the next segment of our podcast called Why Go Chi O? And we always like to ask our guests about how they came to call Chi Omega home. So tell us all the details on why you chose Chi
Omega. Honestly, choosing Chi O was probably the easiest decision I've made in my life. And not like looking back, it's probably the best decision. I was not one of those girls that was torn. Like I came to Chi O on philanthropy night first round and I was like, this is home. And I didn't even know if I was allowed to say that, but I didn't really care because I was like, I want them to know that this is where I want to be. And it because the girls didn't just want to know about my resume. Obviously they cared about that, but they wanted to know how Amrit was and how Amrit became the person that she was today. And I love that because in high school, I never really had deep connections. Like nobody wanted to know about my culture. Nobody wanted to know about my religion. I was kind of just I was involved in school, but it was just, they just knew the, I guess, basic Amrit, and now when I entered Chi O, everybody wanted to know everything about me. And they also pushed me out of my comfort zone to do things that I never thought I would. And also every single person in Chi Omega, I remember just looking around at Pref Night and I was like, wow, all of these people are women are so accomplished. And if I even get to be as half as great as any of these people are, I'll be accomplished because all of them are so involved in campus, have such high goals, and just carry themselves so well. I'm like, wow. And also I'm just a firm believer that you are who you surround yourself with. And so if I wanted, I knew I had some goals, that I wanted to accomplish before college, and I knew every single one of those girls would help me accomplish those goals.
Well, it's pretty powerful when you see women that you look up to, that you aspire to be like, take a genuine interest in you and ask you questions about your experience growing up or your culture, your religion. So I do think that would make an impact on somebody. And I'm so glad that Chi Delta did that for you. And we are so lucky to have you lead us as president. And I want to dig in deeper to those leadership positions. You were the new member educator, and now you serve as chapter president. So can you share anything maybe that you learned in Chi Omega that has helped prepare you for your work in real estate or otherwise?
Oh, yes. There's a whole list. I honestly, I say this a lot, especially my senior year, the things that I've learned in Chi, I've served in several different leadership positions, but the things that I've learned in Chi, I wouldn't have learned anywhere else. And I think a big, time management, dealing with stressful situations, event planning. I didn't realize how much I would learn about that. Communication skills, not only communicating with members, exec board, advisory board, house corporation board, but also dealing with emotions, when it comes to communication and just so much. I could honestly go on and on, but also leadership training, because leadership has just been such a big part of who I am. I've just loved being, serving in any position that I can, where I can make an impact. And I've been so thankful to be able to go to Firesides and National Convention and also the Nancy Walton Leadership Institute. And so just getting that training and then bringing it back to Chi Delta has just been such a great blessing. And I can't wait to use all these skills like in real estate post grad, but also like whatever I end up doing, even if it's not real estate.
Yes, I feel like you and I were so lucky to be Chi Megas because when you're in the chapter, it's like a little laboratory for leadership, right? The stakes are pretty low. You can't really mess much up. You can try your leadership style. You can even fail, and it's a pretty safe space to do that in. And you can do all that for most people, before they get to their profession in life. You are kind of doing them simultaneously. Do you think you'll stay in real estate or pursue something else?
It depends. So I really, really like it. And I definitely don't want to like get rid of my license at all. Like, even if it means like one deal a year, just because like if someone needs my help, like I want to help them. But I also want to look into different options, maybe something with Chi Omega or like just anything. I feel like whatever calls me, like kind of just leaving it, because I never thought I would be in a sorority or like be so involved in Greek life, but now I couldn't imagine my life without it. So
Well, I am so glad we found you, like it or not. You are also a first generation college student. So, how do you think your experience has differed from some of your other Chi Omega sisters, and how have they helped you find your way in college?
I wouldn't have been able to do it without them, honestly, because I mean, I didn't really know what I was getting myself into with Chi, first of all, and then school, like I just knew that I had to go to school. Like there was no, like, I didn't know what I was going to major in. I thought I did. I changed my mind. But they were just so supportive and always helped, like all the older girls, like even though I was a freshman, like all the seniors would all like be willing to sit with me for hours and hours and help me talk through my like all the freshman year issues that I would have, and guide me in the right direction. And also, like, I just remember a senior, like, I used to overthink and be stressed all the time. And a senior sat me down and she was like, Amrit, you are too young to be this stressed. Like, you need to calm down. Like, you got this. Like, you're so awesome. And
Yeah.
yeah. And I just, that I still think about that as a senior. And that's exactly what I needed to hear. And it was like, these girls knew me better than I knew myself, even though I had just met them. And like, figuring out college, like what classes to take, who to talk to, like all that stuff, like they were all just there for me every single step of the way. And like also my parents, like they didn't know what Greek life was, and they were
How did you explain it to them?
I talked a lot about the purposes. Chi Omega purposes always stick out to me, especially scholarship, because I knew I was like, hey, at least I know they prioritize scholarships.
Very good. Well, who can argue with that?
Yeah. So, and Chi Delta has a long history of having the highest GPA, and that really like on campus. So that like stood out to me too. And I always sold that. And like philanthropy, I love our philanthropy. I love everything, all the events that we do. And so explaining that, and then also like explaining it to my parents, but then bringing it back to my sisters too. Like that was different too, because there's a lot of things like my parents would be like, no, you can't do that. Like that's crazy. And then like my sisters would still be so understanding. They're like, we respect that. Like if that's your culture and that's part of your religion, like we're not going to force you to like come with us to go do this or whatever. It's just like, I really appreciated that, because it was like a balance of both parties trying to, understand each other. So
Well, there's nothing that makes you feel more at home, I think. And I can tell already that you're a very talented leader. You are talented in sales as a realtor. You take pride in sharing your culture with dance, and you're also great at helping your sisters kind of stay focused and less stressed. So, Amrit, now I would like you to pick one of your skills and teach our viewers something. It is time for Teach Us Your Talent. Go for it.
Okay, I wish I could teach you guys Indian dancing, but I don't know how successful that would be over the podcast. But I just wanted to share my 3 top tips to like manage stress and things that I've learned over the years, and I wish I would have learned them sooner. But I think the first thing is developing an intentional morning routine. I think for me at least, like if I start off my day with good intentions and like positive intentions, I always end up having a really, really good day and like just planning it out. And like even like I hate waking up early, but like now my morning routine is so like really like so important to me. I'm like I have to wake up early. And then number 2, I say this to everybody, like Google Calendar and Google Keep are my whole entire life. And
I have a system. Yeah.
Yes, I have a system in place. Like, it makes sense to me. And every time people ask me, how do you do it all? I show them Google Calendar and Google Keep. So definitely that. And then last but not least, I think the biggest thing that I have learned to live by is always choose people and the things that choose you. I'm a firm believer that, like, you need to have your cup full before you pour into others. And I think if you choose the right people and the right things, they'll always fill your cup. Like choosing Chi Omega, like, I could be having the worst day ever and I'll go into the lodge and all my worries and stress and everything goes away. And it's because my sisters choose me. And it really does make the biggest difference. And I even like choosing Chi Omega. Like, I would not be the person that I am today if I didn't choose Chi Omega. And so I just think, like, pouring yourself into things that pour into you is just so important. And so yeah, that's like really keeps me sane and together.
Well, I feel like that is, a 3-step trick for the key to life. You want to have an intentional morning routine. You got to have a system, whether it be Google Calendar or whatever it is, have a system. And then also pour into people that pour into you. Choose people and things that choose you and watch out for the signs, right?
Oh, yeah.
So kind of subtle, I guess.
Yes.
Well, I want everyone to think about your 3 tips and how they can apply them to their own life, and appreciate your tips on stress and time management. Before I let you go, though, I want to end with asking you, what advice would you give to other young women who are navigating uncharted territory, like being a first-generation college student, or maybe someone who wants to give back to their community but doesn't know how or where to start?
I think the number one thing is finding a mentor, like whether it be a professor or someone at college or even someone in your chapter that you look up to. Like, find someone, because I think I love learning from others. Like, I was meant to say this earlier. Like, even when I go to like firesides or convention or anything, like, I love hearing from everybody else, because they, like, all, especially Kaya, like, all of us, we're all sisters, so we all want to like teach each other stuff. And so, like, let those people pour into you and learn from their accomplishments, even their mistakes. And then also, like, they can help you through everything, and it's just really helpful. So I definitely say get a mentor, and don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone, because that's when the greatest amount of growth will happen in your life. I would have never thought I would be chapter president one day or do any of the things that I do, but they just make me who I am now, and I'm just so thankful that I wasn't afraid to do it, So.
Well, me too. I feel like you can learn a little something from everybody, even if it's not what to do, what to say, or what to act, or how to act, excuse me. And I'm so glad that the position found you and that you took that brave leap to be the president of Chi Omega, because we needed you and we still do. So wonderful words of advice. Thank you, Amrit.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Chi Conversations today. I hope you enjoyed Amrit as much as I did and are left feeling inspired. If you are craving more, do not worry. You can check out all of our episodes at the link in our caption, or you can find them on our website at chiomega.com. If you have questions for our upcoming podcast guests, or if you know a fabulous future guest, Chi Omega or not, please email us at chiomega@chiomega.com, and be sure to follow us on social media so you don't miss out on our next Chi conversation. Thank you.